Hello, I'm Marcia. I'm a creative artist. I specialise in oil painting and I also tutor in art. In this video, I'm going to show you how to oil paint landscapes. For this video, I have already laid out an array of colours that you commonly see in nature. That's your blues, your greens, your yellows and your browns. We also have a natural sponge, an old rag, various size brushes from very small to very large. And here you can see I've already primed a medium-sized canvas on board, which I'm now going to paint my nature landscape on. And the photocopy at the top is the one I'll be drawing from. So the reason why I chose this landscape photograph in particular is because it's got a very nice balance and proportion and rhythm, and it's really important if you're going to choose something to paint, especially in nature, that you have balance and proportion, you know, everything's sectioned in the right proportions, the colours harmonise, and you've got the tree in the centre. So I'm going to start by just loosely drawing the different planes, and I'm holding the brush really loosely for this, and it helps so you don't get too meticulous at this point, just to mark off. And you can see already that that's quite, or for me that's quite pleasing to the eye. The structure is actually easier to paint with a larger brush. You have to try it to see it, to believe it. So I'm putting in this tree, and I'm keeping my brush strokes quite dry. Just got the natural form in there. There is another small tree or shrub, light tree on the side. So I'm just going to put that in as well, very lightly. So I'm happy with that so far. What I'm going to do now is add the bolder areas of colour. So I'm using the sponge again just to blend in the blue that I've made for the sea area with some Viridian green. I think it still gives me that directional flow of the sea, so it has that slight appearance of it being the sea and not the sky, which is a completely different texture. So I'm just going to add in just a hint, not too much, of the green over here to create slight rippling effect. So if I step back, you can see already, although I've hardly used any paint, it's quite dry, it's very simple, the forms and the shapes. There isn't too much detail, but already you can begin to see the landscape form, and you can identify it as somewhere in the countryside in an open space, as opposed to anywhere else. So I'm just using the tip of the brush to create almost like a receding stone rock structure. So here we have a semi-complete landscape. I started off by drawing the outline, the basic outline, keeping the rhythm and the proportions in accordance with the actual photocopy there, which was a really nice balanced piece. I tried to draw in, tie in all the colours and bring out some of the colours which weren't there, which weren't so clear, by adding more depth and more colour to the foreground. less depth and a bit more dry brush stroke to the midground, and some texture just to differentiate between the water area here, the coastline area here, and the rocky hill-like mountainside. I also wanted to create texture in the sky, so I use a lot of smoothing techniques. Plus, on the left hand side here, you can see where I've used a palette knife quite thickly in pasto here, which is a contrast against the mountain in the very distance, which is there's less definition of. In the tree area here, I wanted the tree to be the focal point. It is the focal point, so I thought, well, that's where we're going to use it. And I've used the stippling effects with the sponge to create the leaf textures, which, you know, created many masses of branches and leaves in one go. Also, I created the stippling effect here for the leaves and drew the branches and the trunk area and the twisted stems area with the dry brush. Use the palette knife area here, nice thickening pasta to define and create contrast between the foreground of the trunk and the shape of the trunk, and the background and the midground of the water and the sky and the mountains behind. And also I've got some lovely faint dry grass brush strokes here, which had I had the time to, I would have finished more of and would have spent more time building up the foreground, the background and the midground and the focal point, which is a tree. So that's in essence how to oil paint landscapes.